In our headlines this evening, Nevis Academy captures the 2015 Tourism Quiz title. Gingerland Secondary School participates in security and a safety drill. The details are straight ahead. Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast. Today is Wednesday, February 11th, 2015. I'm Huey Sargent. The Nisbet Plantation Beach Club sponsored Primary School's Tourism Quiz was held early today at the Nevis Performing Arts Center. Here are the details in this report.
The Nisbet Plantation Tourism Quiz is a competition aimed at heightening the awareness of primary school students to the island's tourism product. It also underscores the important role tourism plays in advancing economic and social development as the leading industry across the Caribbean. The NIA's Ministry of Tourism coordinates the annual competition, which has, over the years, been sponsored by the Nisbet Plantation Beach Club. At this morning's opening ceremony, Acting Permanent Secretary Carl Williams addressed the audience on behalf of the Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Mark Brantley.
Most schools on the island, I know, look forward to this activity. And as tourism is our main industry, we too look forward and in anticipation as to what our children would have learned and a knowledge that we would have gained about the industry. And so as a result of that, it's a welcomed exercise and experience in the school's calendar of activities. I must say that the Nisbet Plantation Beach Club has been a great partner in this venture. And so I think they should be congratulated. Can we give them a round of applause, please?
The Nisbet Plantation Beach Club was represented by General Manager Alistair Forrest.
Nevis has a thriving hospitality industry, which is only going to get bigger as time goes on, bigger and better. We have a fabulous quality product here in Nevis with some great hotels, and we see some really fabulous developments taking place right now. So there are going to be lots of opportunities for you to grow into great positions in the hotels and restaurants and in the ancillary tourism industry as the years progress. Hospitality comes from the heart. You either have it within you or you don't. It's a wonderful thing to be able to give of yourself every day in every way to look after people. And it's something that I've thoroughly enjoyed doing. I haven't had a moment of regret, and I encourage you all to consider it as a great career possibility.
Meantime, Education Officer Avril Elliott thanked the Ministry of Tourism and the Nisbet Plantation Beach Club for continuing to partner with the Department of Education.
This partnership with the Ministries of Education and Tourism has helped to expose our students to much needed information and knowledge about our vital tourism product, local history, and culture. It is hoped that this partnership will remain a long, healthy, and fruitful relationship. Permit me also to express our sincere appreciation to the teachers and parents who would have facilitated this morning's exercise. It is no doubt challenging to prepare students for competition of this magnitude. And so, I wish to applaud the contribution of the teachers and the parents as well.
This morning's quiz tested the students' knowledge of Nevisian cultural heritage, Caribbean geography and environment, and Caribbean tourism. Emerging as the 2015 winner was the Nevis Academy, represented by Rebecca Chowti-Prasad and Hushani Martin. Earning second place was the Maud Cross Preparatory School, represented by Patrice Nisbet and Jaden Dorr. The third place winner was the Joycelyn Liebert Primary School, represented by Clive Evelyn and Brianna Brown. Reporting for the Nevis Newscast, I am Fredicia Liebert.
Thanks, Fredicia. Staff and students of the Gingerland Secondary School experienced a few tense moments this morning as a security and safety drill took place on the school's compound. Head of the Geography and Social Studies Department, Felicia Walters, explained what happened when we visited the school.
The drill went as planned, but one of the things that we have observed is that we still need to do a lot of work in terms of really educating the students what to do in the event of such a drill occurs. The students, after hearing the blank shots, at first some of them thought it was fireworks and there was no response. But after 2 or 3 more shots, then they realized what happened and basically they fled the hall. Actually, we were in the hall for the morning devotions, and so the gunman, who was a policeman actually undercover, he entered and the hall and he dispelled his shots. Now, we have realized here that we know already for our other disasters that the school lawn is the actual safe zone, so to say, and so then it's just a matter of continue to educating our students on what to do in event of such happens.
Ms. Walters noted that the drill is a mandatory exercise in the education policy as it seeks to prepare everyone in the school environment to handle any situation that may arise.
One of the aim of the drill is basically to help us here at Gingerland Secondary in terms of helping us to prepare our emergency plan, and also once the drill, well, in the initial stages of preparing the drill, we involve a few stakeholders. They included the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, which is the nurses here in Gingerland, the police officers, the fire officers, and Nevis Disaster Management. It is necessary, or rather should I say mandatory, of all the schools here to take part in a drill once every term. This is a part of the Ministry of Education school safety policy. And so in the past here at Gingerland, we'd have had earthquakes drill and fire drill. But due to the nature of our society, nowadays we just decided to shift it a bit and to have a different kind of drill.
Ms. Walters pointed out that at no point were any of the students or staff in any danger and that the necessary persons were informed about the drill. The drill, she said, was necessary based on the environment in which we now live.
Currently, we are working on an emergency plan here at Gingerland Secondary School, not only for this kind of drill, but all sorts of disasters and hazards that would occur, because we don't know when a disaster will strike. And so it's necessary for us here to be prepared. And so therefore, that's why we did the drill. Now, from this morning, we know we have a lot of work to do. And so next week, after the hype of the elections, we are going to come back now together as a staff, along with those persons who are planning with us, and we're going to have the post-mortem. So then we can always share with you the post-mortem of the drill.
Ms. Walters stressed that the drill was executed properly, but the reaction of many of the persons, including parents who turned up at the school, was instructive to their emergency plan. Joseph Parry, leader of the Nevis Reformation Party, took to the airwaves this week to justify why residents of Nevis should vote for his party in the upcoming general elections. This speech comes days before the Nevis Reformation Party is scheduled to sign a contract for progress with the Sinkis Nevis Labour Party, signifying an alliance between the two entities.
I want to make it clear that we are not joining the Labour Party, but instead we are working together to promote progress and democracy across the Federation through the shared principles of mutual respect, fairness, freedom and justice. It is an equal partnership, with both parties having an equal say in government areas, such as cabinet appointments, government boards and corporations.
This alliance comes with the context that the Nevis Reformation Party was formed in the 70s, at a time when Nevisians perceived that the then Labour administration in St. Kitts did not govern in the best interest of Nevis.
The contract for the future progress is an agreement between two parties. Look at the record of both parties. It has been good for Nevisians. So the contract for progress is a natural evolution for our parties. All Nevisians and all Kittitians must regard themselves as an equal and integral part of the Federation. Our parties work. Our policies prove it. Our people know it.
The campaigns for both Nevis Reformation Party and the Concerned Citizens Movement will step into high gear in the coming days as the polling day is, as proclaimed by the writ, is scheduled for Monday, 16th February 2016. Both parties have used all forms of media to get their various messages out, including radio, social media, as well as personal interactions. Beginning at just before 6 a.m. local time, the London-based Privy Council began hearing arguments regarding the boundaries case for the pending syndicates and Nevis general elections. This case is seen as crucial as its results could shift the balance of power in St. Kitts and Nevis. One side, which is the government side, is adamant that the boundaries as effected by Parliament on January 16 be used, while the opposition Team Unity side is challenging the process, noting that there were gerrymandering done and the boundaries to effect a particular outcome, and thus are aggrieved and the process was biased. The court is to decide whether the Court of Appeal was correct to uphold the discharge of an interim injunction preventing the adoption of new electoral boundaries by the Prime Minister of St. Christopher and Nevis.
As clear a case as you're ever going to see of a legislature and an executive seeking to restrain people from getting to the courts and to take advantage of what they think the constitutional provisions are in order to achieve that result, and then say at the end, ha, ha, ha. And I'll come to that in a moment, if I may, because there's a lovely extract from the report of what took place in Parliament.
The appellants are Mark Brantley, Timothy Harris, Sam Conder, Sean Richards, both in their personal capacities and representatives of their various political parties. The respondents are the Constituency Boundaries Commission, Denzil Douglas, Prime Minister of St. Christopher and Nevis, and Attorney General of St. Christopher and Nevis as a representative of the Governor General. The Privy Council appeal justices are Lord Mance, Lord Kerr, Lord Clark, Lord Reid, and Lord Hodge.
As a matter of law, on the evidence that's there, the proclamation wasn't made, though I don't see how that can be actually said, because it has been made. If your lordships take that view, so be it. But otherwise, respectfully urge your lordships, if that isn't the answer, then your lordship should not grant any injunction. Your lordship should allow the election to play out. It may be that after the election there's nothing left to argue about.
At the end of today's hearing, the justices retired for deliberations. They are scheduled to deliver their verdict tomorrow at 2 p.m. We'll have more local news after this short break. Welcome back. Persons who registered after November 30th, 2014 will not be eligible to vote in the February 16th, 2015 general elections. In a nationwide address, Supervisor of Elections Wingrove George called on persons to examine the register of voters to make sure that their names are listed before going to the poll. He informed the general public that polling day is Monday, 16th February, and polls will be opened at 90 polling stations on St. Kitts and 33 on Nevis. He said a list of locations of polling stations will be published in local newspapers and broadcasted on local radio stations. George further stated that the addresses of polling stations will be posted at the electoral office and other conspicuous places in the electoral districts. Voters are therefore kindly asked to check these sources for addresses of polling stations. The polling stations will be manned by presiding officers and poll clerks whose names have been subjected to scrutiny. He said these officers have been carefully selected based on their known ability, integrity, and experience. According to George, the presiding officers and poll clerks have been appointed on the condition that they should undertake their duties without partiality, fear, or favor. The presiding officers will be directly responsible for the maintenance of order at the polling stations with assistance of the security forces as and when necessary. Their role will also involve the giving of guidance and assistance to voters. Voters are thus free to seek assistance of presiding officers in making their X or mark if necessary. He said the functioning of the presiding officer and poll clerks will be observed by agents of the candidates. He further pointed out that after the close of the poll, the ballot boxes containing the ballots cast will be sealed. The counting of ballots is expected to commence at 8 p.m. on the evening of polling day. The St. Lucia-based Organization of Eastern Caribbean States OECS Commission is calling for the removal of roaming fees attached to mobile calls between the 9-member sub-regional grouping. The OECS countries have been arguing that since they have formed a single economic union, they should not have to pay roaming charges between Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Montserrat, Anguilla, the British Virgin Islands, and the St. Kitts and Nevis. OECS Director General Dr. Didacus Jules said that if the OECS is a single economic space, the same way you can make a call from Castries to Vieux Fort, the same way you should be able to make a call from Castries to St. George's or Castries to St. John's. The OECS position comes also against the backdrop of efforts by the sub-region to make information communication technology more accessible and affordable to consumers in the sub-region. Telecommunication service providers have been calling on government to tax voice-over internet protocol applications such as Skype and Viber, which they say are impacting negatively on their businesses. But Jules said such a position by the service providers is not feasible. I'm Huey Sargent. Thanks for viewing. Good night.